The town of Buira was small and quiet. Fields surrounded it. At the edge of town, a giant willow tree stood. Its branches were long and twisted. They reached out like skeletal fingers. The tree was old, very old. Some people said it had been there for centuries. Kids in Buira liked to play around the willow. They would dare each other to touch its rough bark. They would tell scary stories in its shadow, but they never stayed too long. The willow always felt a little creepy. One hot summer day, everything changed. The willow was no longer just creepy, it was something much, much worse. A young girl named Sophie was playing near the willow. She was skipping rocks across the dusty ground. She wasn't paying attention to anything else. Then she heard it, a voice, soft and low, like a whisper on the wind. "Sophie," it said, just her name, nothing more. Sophie stopped skipping rocks. She looked around. Nobody. She was all alone. She shivered, a cold shiver, even though the sun was hot. Sophie ran back to town. She didn't look back. She told her friends about the voice. They laughed. They didn't believe her, but Sophie knew what she heard. She knew the willow had spoken to her. The next day, another child heard the voice. This time it was a boy named Thomas. He was sitting under the willow, reading a comic book. The wind rustled the leaves. Thomas looked up. He thought he saw something move in the branches. Then he heard it. "Thomas," the voice whispered, clear as day. Thomas slammed his comic book shut. He didn't finish reading. He ran all the way home. He didn't stop running until he reached his front door. After Thomas, more and more kids started hearing the whispers, always their name, always in the same voice, soft, low, like a secret only they could hear. Word spread through Buira like wildfire. Parents started to worry. They told their kids to stay away from the willow. But it was too late. The fear had already taken root. Every parent in town imagined their child alone beneath that tree. They imagined the wind whispering their child's name. It was a nightmare that seemed to be coming true. The town council held a meeting. They argued about what to do. Some people wanted to cut down the willow, burn it to the ground. Others said that was crazy. It was just an old tree, a harmless tree. But nobody felt truly sure anymore. Not after what the children had heard. Section 5. Shadows in the Leaves. The children of Buira were too scared to go near the willow now. They stayed in their houses. They played in the streets where they could see each other. They never went near the edge of town. But the whispers didn't stop. If anything, they got louder, more insistent. Sometimes, late at night, people thought they saw shadows moving in the willow's branches. They couldn't be sure. It was always dark. The shadows always seemed to disappear when you looked directly at them. The mystery deepened. The fear grew stronger. Section 6. The Search for Answers. People started to investigate. They searched for old legends about the willow. They looked for any strange events connected to the tree. They talked to anyone who might know something, anything at all. Some people said the willow was haunted. They said it was the spirit of a child who had died near the tree many years ago. Now the spirit was trying to lure other children to their doom. Others said the willow was magical. They said it was a gateway to another world. The whispers were coming from that other world, trying to tempt people to cross over. But none of these explanations felt quite right. None of them fully explained the whispers or the fear. Section 7. The Town Eccentric. Then someone suggested talking to Old Man Hemlock. He was a strange old man who lived on the outskirts of town. He kept to himself mostly. People said he was crazy, but they also said he knew things other people didn't, things he couldn't possibly know. A small group of townspeople went to see Old Man Hemlock. They told him about the whispers. They told him about the fear. They asked him if he knew what was causing it. Old Man Hemlock listened patiently. He stroked his long white beard. When they were finished, he smiled, a strange smile, a knowing smile. "It's not the tree that whispers," he said. His voice was raspy, like dry leaves crunching underfoot. "It's the wind." Section 8. A revelation, but not the end. Old Man Hemlock explained that the willow tree was special. It had been there for centuries. It had witnessed everything, heard everything. And somehow it had learned to capture memories in its leaves. When the wind blew through the willow's leaves, it released those memories, whispers of the past, names spoken long ago. The children weren't imagining things. They were hearing echoes of the past. The townspeople were relieved and a little bit disappointed. They had hoped for a more dramatic explanation, a ghost story, a magical portal, but the truth, however strange, was more comforting. They thanked Old Man Hemlock and hurried back to town. They told everyone what they had learned. The fear began to subside. Section 9. The whispering continues. Life in Buira returned to normal, almost. The children still didn't play near the willow. They couldn't forget the whispers. They knew the wind carried more than just air. It carried memories, secrets, stories, and sometimes late at night when the wind was just right, they could still hear it. The whispering of the willow, a soft, low murmur on the breeze. The willow remained a silent sentinel at the edge of town, a living monument to the past, and its whispers, though no longer feared, continued to echo through the years.